Breaking news, VCU is welcoming a new head men's basketball coach after Ryan Odom announces he is leaving the team for another school. Hundreds of people marched the No Kings in America protest. They're hoping their voices will be heard on the anniversary of the famous Liberty or Death speech. And another big protest at the Shenandoah National Park. Off-duty rangers hold a rally to fight for their jobs and the future of national parks, while the Department of Government Efficiency cuts funding. All this and more coming up. Hello and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Sanai Gary. We're learning more about VCU's new men's basketball head coach, Phil Martelli Jr. Martelli Jr., the son of legendary basketball coach Phil Martelli, comes from Bryant University, where he led the team to win the America East Tournament. This coaching change is happening after the Rams lost the first round of the NCAA tournament against BYU. Ryan Odom then announced he is leaving to become UVA's new head coach. Now, multiple players have hit the transfer portal, including Atlantic 10 all-rookie team center Luke Bamboye, leaving the Rams in the limbo of their roster next year. The Rams did, however, claim the A-10 title before the loss in the NCAA tournament last week. VCU defeated in-state rival George Mason 68-63 in a matchup between the 1 and 2 seeds of the tournament. A-10 Player of the Year Max Shoga helped lead the Rams to victory with 18 points. Guard Joe Bamasiel and forward Jack Clark both had 17 points as well, helping claim VCU's second A-10 conference title in 3 years. Now, new developments as President Trump's executive agenda affects VCU. The university announced it is dissolving the Division of Inclusive Excellence. Before it was taken down, the Division of Websites stated their goals were to nurture a culture that is diverse, inclusive, equitable, and engaged, and implement these values throughout the university. The VCU Board of Visitors voted to approve a resolution that dissolves the DEI office in response to an executive order and letter from the Department of Education in their resolution. The university stated it still values diversity and inclusive environments and will work to transfer any applicable programs to a new home. Hundreds of people protesting President Donald Trump's administration are using the anniversary of a historic event here in Richmond to make their voices heard. VCU InSight reporter Phoenix Kyle is at St. John's Church for the 250th anniversary celebration of the famous Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech, also where protesters took a stand.
Thank you, Sanaya. Protesters are using this anniversary celebration as an opportunity to make their voices heard. While Governor Glenn Youngkin was inside the church attending a reenactment of the Second Virginia Convention, protesters outside the church were calling for the removal of President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Many compared the president to a king and chanted, "This is what democracy looks like." One of the organizers, Antony Sahovich, said the anniversary celebration of Patrick Henry's Liberty or Death speech felt like a poetic time and place to protest.
There are countless of things that Trump and his administration are doing that go against the Constitution, that violate our rights. I hope more people come out because, some of these issues might not affect you personally, but eventually they will. If we let him to continue to do what he's doing now, soon he's going to become more and more audacious.
At the anniversary celebration, Patrick Henry's direct descendant, Patrick Henry Jolly, reenacted the famous speech.
As for me, give me liberty or give me death.
That speech inspired delegates at the Second Virginia Convention to create a militia to stand against England. Less than a month later, the American Revolution began. Organizer Antony Sahovich estimates about 500 people attended the protest, which ended peacefully once Governor Glenn Youngkin exited the church. Reporting in Richmond for VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Phoenix Kyle.
The Trump administration's recent firing of thousands of federal employees has sparked outrage and concern for the safety of public lands. VCU InSight reporter Elena Gutowski is at Shenandoah National Park talking to protesters at a rally organized by a community of off-duty park rangers.
I'm here at the entrance of Shenandoah National Park, where activists are holding up signs like these, protesting President Donald Trump's mass firing of federal employees. They're calling it a war on public lands. About 1 month ago, 1,000 National Park Service employees were fired as a result of the Trump administration's move to reduce the size of the federal government. Then, just last week, the National Parks Conservation Association says that it was able to reinstate those fired employees, but many say they still fear for the security of their careers, wondering when and if more job cuts will come. Now, groups like the Resistance Rangers, made up of over 800 off-duty park rangers, are organizing rallies across the country for the security of their jobs and the safety of public lands.
Everyone is out here today protesting the DOGE cuts to national park staffing and services. They're going to have a huge detrimental impact on visitors who come to our national parks, including the one right here, Shenandoah National Park.
The president of the NPCA has referred to the firing and rehiring of Park Service employees as chaotic whiplash, saying that the administration needs to stop playing games with the future of the national parks. Reporting in Afton for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Elena Gutowski.
Circling back to the sports category, 2 local high schools can now call themselves state basketball champs. The John Marshall boys team clinched their 13th state championship, and Atlee's boys team took home their first state title. VCU InSight reporter Kyler Gilliam is at the Siegel Center with highlights from the big games.
Hello, I'm here at the Stuart C. Siegel Center, host of the VHSL State Championships, where 6 Richmond metro area high schools competed for Virginia basketball immortality.
John Marshall's high school boys and girls teams competed for the VHSL Class II state title. The girls faced off against Central Wise High School. The Justices were looking for their first state title but fell short 75-45. Sophomore Tiara Heron led the team with 30 points in the effort. The boys fared better, winning their matchup against Graham High School, 107-81. Led by future Richmond Spider Aiden Argabright and top 100 player Latrell Aldman, the Justices scored the most points ever in a state final. This is John Marshall's 4th straight state title. Atlee High School out of Mechanicsville and Varina High School out of Henrico matched up for the 4A Boys State Championship. Both teams came out the gate strong, with Atlee up 16-14 after the first quarter. Atlee would continue its momentum and cruise to a 22-point victory, 66-44. Sophomore Connor Wilcox would score 18 points and grab 8 rebounds in the win. Hopewell High School would lose in the 3A Boys State Final against Spotswood High School in a close, high-intensity battle, 57-50. Sophomore Stefan Cherry scored 22 points during the contest. Manchester High School would fall short 60-48 to Osborne Park High School in the Class 6 Girls Final. Junior Finley Weaver would lead the Lancers in points with 15.
That is all for the VHSL State Championships. Reporting at VCU for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Kyler Gilliam.
The Flying Squirrels are preparing for opening day as the construction of a new stadium and the renovation of the Diamond District takes place. VCU InSight reporter Alex Wilson is there with more on the redevelopment plans.
The Richmond Flying Squirrels will be playing their opening day game on April 4th against the Akron Rubber Ducks. However, this may be one of the last opening days at the Diamond. Construction of the new stadium called Carmax Park is expected to open next season. It's all part of the plan to renovate the Diamond District. The Diamond District will be 18 acres of mixed-use development that will be anchored by the next stadium, which will also include new housing, offices, and parks. The city hopes the redevelopment efforts in the Diamond District will bring new jobs to the area. For now, baseball fans get to enjoy fireworks, baseball, and other events at the Diamond. Back to you, Sanaya.
A Mechanicsville nurse practitioner says her wearable health tracker alerted her to change in her body, prompting her to seek medical attention sooner. Her story went viral, and VCU InSight reporter Madison Cox has more on this story and how it's sparking conversations about the future of wearable technology in healthcare.
For nurse practitioner Nikki Gooding, a small piece of technology changed her life.
I knew that I had cancer before I was diagnosed because of my Oura Ring.
The Oura Ring, best known for tracking biometric data, alerted her to something unusual.
I realized that something was off when my readiness score, that's supposed to be 80 to 100, was in the 30s and the 40s consistently.
That drop prompted the 26-year-old to push for answers. After seeing her primary care physician and undergoing extensive testing, she was diagnosed with lymphoma. Gooding took her story to TikTok, where it quickly went viral, gaining attention from major media outlets like Good Morning America.
I think I would have figured it out eventually, but having the biometric data laid out in front of me definitely made me seek out medical attention sooner.
So, how does it work? Wearables like the Oura Ring track real-time biometric data, things like heart rate, respiratory rate, and basal body temperature. I actually have an Oura Ring, so let me pull up the app to show you. As you can see here, my readiness score for today is a 90, which is really good. This feature allows you to track trends over time, which is how Gooding's Ring was able to detect major red flags.
I think that wearable devices like the Oura Ring are really beneficial because it gives you context and information on your own body. And then you can bring that information and bring that data to your medical provider and healthcare provider and become a partnership in your own medical care.
Dr. Megan Crawford says one of the biggest benefits of wearable technology is that it allows users to better understand their health and advocate for care.
I just really hope that by sharing my story, it helps others to take advantage of smart technologies out there to advocate for their health.
Gooding is currently going through chemo treatments and hopes to be done by the beginning of August. Reporting in Mechanicsville for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Madison Cox.
Over 60 new citizens can now call themselves Americans. VCU InSight reporter Cruz Walden was at the Virginia Museum of History and Culture for a naturalization ceremony.
Starting with the national anthem, surrounded by loved ones,
that I will support and defend.
Naturalized citizens take the oath of allegiance and are now U.S. citizens. For Eric and Flora Sacular, who are originally from the Philippines, they see this as a new opportunity.
Our son was born here. They're American citizens, so we decided to become American citizen. Yeah,
and we want to have a future, good future also.
People represented countries from around the world, including Egypt, Kenya, the Caribbean, Australia, Mexico, South Korea, and more. The ceremony was presided by Judge David J. Novak.
You pledge fidelity to the Constitution, not a king, not a queen, not a president, or any person. You pledge loyalty to the Constitution.
This ceremony comes in the wake of President Trump's new immigration policies, making it harder for migrants who enter illegally to seek asylum through the southern border and proposals for mass deportations across the United States. The Seculars say they are excited to travel and to be called Americans. Overall, they are hopeful for a better life now that they are officially citizens.
Better opportunity and freedom, and then
good working conditions, and a better life for our kids too.
Reporting from Richmond for VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Cruz Walden.
For any theater fans out there, Richmond Shakespeare is putting on a production this month that combines all of William Shakespeare's play into one performance. London's longest-running comedy, or one of the most frequently produced plays displaying William Shakespeare's works, is coming to Richmond. VCU InSight reporter Kendall Taylor is sitting down with one of the actors in the complete works of William Shakespeare to give us more of what to expect from the show.
Thanks, Sanaya. I have Josh Mullins here, one of the stars of the complete works of William Shakespeare, which is playing at Dominion Energy Center until the end of the month. Thanks for being here, Josh.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the show? What's the complete works of William Shakespeare?
Yeah, so the complete works of William Shakespeare is about these three actors who come together and try to put on all of Shakespeare's work in about 90 minutes. But because that's an impossible task, they kind of find themselves fumbling over their words and kind of rushing through certain plays. But it kind of just devolves into really fun chaos. So.
Can you tell us a bit about your role in the show?
Yeah, so my role, when it was created forever ago, basically there's three different guys and they play different parts. I play the role of Adam, which is the character's name, He is a little bit less distinguished as the other two. The other two care a little bit more about Shakespeare. I like to think of Adam as like the only guy who showed up to the audition kind of a thing. He has kind of the director, our director Joe Pabst, keeps calling him something of like a frat boy. So he's very silly. He's very much so engages the audience. So it's a lot of silliness, a lot of fun.
Great.
Yeah.
So what was the rehearsal process like?
Rehearsal process, it was actually kind of a quick little turnaround of a rehearsal process. It was very quick. We had about like a month or so. But when we were in the room together, I mean, what's really nice about this show, it's 3 people, a director and a stage manager. So our director kept saying like a 70% rule. So because the show was so silly, we would throw everything up, at the wall and just, as many shticks, as many jokes as possible. And he said about 70% of it's going to be cut, but as long as everything is out there, we're going to choose like the funniest joke. So it was very, very relaxing, very, very fun.
Awesome. So what was the most challenging part of putting the show together?
Most challenging part, again, it was a tight rehearsal schedule. But honestly, the show, the only challenge with it is to kind of like find the rhythm of it, because as soon as this show slows down, it starts to die a little bit. So you want to keep that pace up. So the only challenging part is just making sure that we're constantly hitting our cues, hitting our marks, and getting those lines correct. So yeah.
Now, could you tell us the most enjoyable part of putting the show together?
Oh, absolutely. Most enjoyable part, there's a rap part in the show, but the show was written like back in the 90s, so the original rap has like a 90s kind of Beastie Boy vibe. But nowadays, we're familiar with Hamilton and, In the Heights, so I got to rewrite a rap for that little segment of the show, which is really fun. I say words like blicky on stage, so it's a good time. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And lastly, what do you want the audiences to take away from the show?
Just to have a good time, a fun time. Hopefully, maybe, if a kid comes, or someone who's not as familiar with Shakespeare, maybe they hear of a play that they've never heard of, or, one of Shakespeare's works. But that they have a good time and that, they're able to just, decompress and enjoy an hour and a half of theater. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Josh Mullins. You can catch him in the complete works of William Shakespeare at Dominion Energy Center's Gottwald Playhouse through the end of the month. Back to you, Sanaya.
Thank you, Kendall. Extra, extra, read all about it. Starting this year, a bi-monthly newspaper and publication company released its very first newspaper focusing on local hip-hop culture. I sat down with the co-founder, Eric Jackson, who told me more about the process of launching the publication and the publication company's reason behind ditching digital releases. I'm here with the co-founder, Eric Jackson, of the latest Black-owned traditional publication company called The Richmond Scene. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Now, let's just get started. Can you tell me a little bit about The Richmond Scene?
Yeah, sure. The Richmond Scene, as you said, is like your traditional broadsheet size, 11 by 17, printed on traditional new style paper. We focus on hip hop. That's just what it is. We focus on the Black music scene in Richmond, so that includes hip hop, soul, R&B, and anything else down the line. So we focus on that. We also focus on community efforts in Richmond. We also focus on the scene in general. Our goal is to really bring people out onto the scene. I hear a lot of times people say, ain't shit to do in Richmond. It's plenty to do. It keeps me so busy. So the focus, is music, reviews on different restaurants that are in the area. What else we have done? We've talked to Black farmers, just anything that's community oriented in Richmond that we feel like people should have an understanding of.
And so can you tell me what made you decide to start a publication company?
Last year, I think it was, we were in the house a lot and we're seeking community, and it really was built off that. And I've been familiar with the hip hop scene here since I moved here in 2018. I'm originally from Portsmouth, but I moved here from Atlanta. But at that time, I had really gotten involved with the scene, did some other things, kind of stepped out of the scene for a little bit. And I think when I did that, I lost community. And so there was a period in my personal life where I was seeking that community, and I was like, let's go back outside. Let's get outside, right? And when we did that, we just started realizing, like, man, there's a lot going on here that we felt like wasn't being highlighted the way it should be highlighted.
So let me ask you this question. In a world where everything is digital, what made you decide that you wanted to sell a newspaper?
I'm going to answer that question by giving a conversation that I had with an individual that purchased the paper 2 Sundays ago. He said, I was about to get back on Instagram because I'm missing out on stuff. And then he said, but if you have this paper, I don't need digital media anymore, per se. So to answer that question, I think that we are sometimes so bogged down with information that might not be important that we miss the stuff that is important, and that really speaks to us.
So 1 minute of scrolling can equate to 1 minute of reading.
You know what? Absolutely. When you're scrolling, you're not reading anyway. So,
on the topic of that, can you just tell me, just to end this off, what are some of your biggest goals that you want to achieve for the publication company?
yeah, goals for sure. First of all, we definitely want to get this in a lot of places and stores and coffee shops. We want people to know what's going on in Richmond in this capacity. Outside of that, that's really it. I want people to know what's going on in Richmond. There's a lot of artists, beat makers, producers, singers, songwriters, DJs, everything that's all here that are missed out sometimes in other news publications. And there's not a lot of printed news media in Richmond. And I would dare say there's zero that focuses on what we're focusing on. So my whole goal is to really just get people outside within community. And it's really about community. It's not just about being outside. It's about community and seeing people that you enjoy to be around, that you love, and just having a good time.
Thank you so much, Eric. You can grab your own copy of the latest release of the Richmond Scene at La Cache Dulce off of Broad Street or at Vinyl Conflict off of East Gray Street. And you heard it here, the Richmond Scene just wants people to have the ability to connect and go outside. And if you're wondering about the weather, it's been a bit chilly these past few days, but get ready for some warmer weather starting this weekend. On Friday, it'll be a high of 73 degrees with a low of 44 before rising to a high of 78 on Saturday with a low of 59. You should expect some cloudy weather, but the chance of rain is pretty low. Thank you all for tuning in to VCU InSight. Our reporters will continue to work on news stories throughout the Richmond area. Our final newscast for the spring semester is on April 10th, right here on YouTube. Please remember to like and subscribe. And for VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Sanaya Gary.